Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and another video where today I'm doing an acrylic painting and talking a bit about art inspiration. I'll tell you what inspired the piece that you'll see me paint today, as well as talk about inspiration in general and give you my tips on how to get and stay inspired, so I hope you enjoy it. I'll put a list of all the materials I'm using in the description box below, along with a reference photo from Pixabay. So this week, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I've been busy working on a very different type of commission, one which is a far cry from my usual watercolour animal paintings. I haven't quite finished it yet, but I'm showing you my progress so far because it was this piece that partly inspired today's painting, and the reason why this video is a day late. It was when I was thinking about the background for this painting that the first spark of inspiration hit. I'd picked out an old tube of pink acrylic paint in the colour Permanent Rose, which is a colour I don't normally get to use much in my watercolour animal portraits. It's really bright and vibrant, and after last week's painting, where I experimented with drawing an owl in black and white and then adding bright yellow watercolour, I wondered if I could use this Permanent Rose in a similar way. So the inspiration for this painting came from a combination of an idea from a previous one, as well as a bright new colour. I'm pretty new to acrylic painting, but as I already had my acrylic paints out, I thought it made sense to try my idea for this piece on canvas too. But rather than just paint a splash of colour like I did with the watercolour owl painting, I thought it'd be really fun to use this bright pink as a solid background over the whole canvas. I prepped the canvas by applying a layer of gesso first, and once that was dry, painted a few coats of the Permanent Rose, mixed in with a bit of gesso to help this transparent colour to cover the canvas smoothly. Then when all that was dry, I was then ready to draw out my outline sketch. I used a white charcoal pencil for this, as I thought it would show up better on the pink paint than graphite pencil. So before I talk any more about the painting, let's talk about what inspiration actually is. Well, inspiration is defined as the process of being mentally stimulated to do or feel something, especially to do something creative. But how do we find it, and where does it come from? Well, I believe inspiration comes from everywhere. We have 5 senses: sight, smell, taste, touch and hearing, and I think we can be inspired in some way through all of these. Something we see, like a stunning view or a painting in a gallery. Something we smell, like a beautiful flower or the sea. Even something we taste, touch or hear. Music, for example. All of these things can inspire us to get creative. We can also be inspired by how we feel: anger, sadness or joy. These strong emotions can be the best art inspiration, and artists the world over have used their art as a means of expressing these feelings. The possibilities are endless. So that's all well and good, inspiration is all around us, but you may be wondering what to do if you're just not feeling it, and how do you channel the inspiration to create art? Well, I'm no expert on this at all, but I can give you a few of my tips that might help. The first thing I try to remember is that inspiration is just the beginning, and whatever sparked your imagination is often just a little seed of an idea that may need time to develop before you can flesh it out. So give yourself a break and let it happen. Mull it over for a bit. Your idea may need time to sit inside your head for a bit and grow before you can even put it into words or start to sketch it out. The time this takes can vary, but eventually it becomes an itch you just have to scratch, and then you take action. Sometimes though, inspiration can hit you square in the face when you're least expecting it. For me, this is often late at night, but it can happen anywhere or any time. So my second piece of advice is to be prepared. I like to keep a little notebook or my diary with me at all times, and even take it up to bed. That way, whether I'm out of the house or trying to get to sleep, I can jot down any new ideas without worrying about forgetting them. Until now, I've kept a list of art ideas in the back of my diary, but for 2020, I'm going to transfer my ideas into a separate notebook, my book of inspiration. You could just make a note on your phone or tablet if you want, but I'm a bit old school and like the idea that you can add thumbnail sketches, colour, magazine clippings, photos, and whatever else inspires you. It's up to you how you do it, but if you make that note as soon as inspiration strikes, you're less likely to forget, and you'll always have a list of ideas to try out for when the dreaded art block strikes. My next piece of advice is to try not to be fearful of acting on that thing that inspired you. That idea for something new, something different, or something completely out of your comfort zone. What if it goes wrong or you ruin what you've done so far? What if you can't do it as well as that other artist you watched on YouTube? But the way I see it is that trying new skills can be scary, but not trying those things might also restrict or slow down your growth as an artist. If you don't experiment and explore, yes, things are less likely to go wrong, but you never know what might have happened if you'd acted on that inspiration. It could go very right. I love trying new things and am constantly wondering what if I did this or what would happen if I tried that. And I keep a messy sketchbook for those initial experiments which no one has to see. And believe me, there were a lot of hot messes in there that didn't work out. But I guess it depends on where you are in your personal art journey. Some artists who have been painting or drawing for years and years may not need to experiment as they know what works for them and what doesn't. For me though, I still don't think I have any unique style to speak of, and that's okay. I'm still learning what I like and what I don't like. What I'm saying is, it's your art journey and you should enjoy the process of discovery and feel able to explore inspiration freely. Others may well be further along their journey than you, but that's okay too. Use them to inspire your work, but make sure you do it in a positive way. So you got inspired, you either let the idea develop in your mind for a bit, or you may have got to sketching it out in your notebook. What's next? What if your inspiration comes to an abrupt stop? Well, now's the time for the fun bit, the experimenting. Sketch out some thumbnails, brainstorm, add colour, try different mediums, explore, see what happens. If you're still not feeling it or are feeling frustrated that your ideas aren't coming together as you envisaged, then there are a few other things that you can try. Tidy up your workspace, as this can help to clear your mind of clutter too. Take a break, get a change of scenery, go outside and try again later. Stimulate those senses, listen to music, light a candle, have a bite to eat, talk to a friend and all those kind of things. And make sure you be kind to yourself, eat well and get enough sleep and exercise. A car doesn't run without fuel, and nor do we. Lastly, change it up. Try a new medium or a new subject matter. Or if that's too daunting, go back to something you know and feel confident with before you try again. I've recently been inspired to try painting with acrylics, and it's not been without its challenges and frustrations, but it's been fun too, and I'm enjoying learning new skills. That all being said, I do worry that in trying new mediums or ideas like this on my channel, I may be upsetting those of you who subscribe to my channel to see watercolour paintings, for example, but I do think every now and then that it's good to go with wherever inspiration takes you, and that's why I've shared a bit more of that with you today. I believe you learn more and enjoy art more if you paint or draw what inspires you, rather than following along with what's trending just because that's what everyone else is doing. I'd love to know what you think though. Do you think it's confusing or frustrating to see an artist who usually paints in watercolour suddenly drop in an acrylic painting on their channel, or do you like a bit of variety? Let me know in the comments below, as I'm really interested to know your thoughts. There is also the question of what is going to happen come January 2020 regarding the FTC and the new copper regulations. Not sure how it'll affect my channel or maybe the content that I upload, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see, and I'll keep you posted. So let's talk a bit more about this painting and my final tip, which is once you've been brave enough to act on inspiration and create some art, then try doing a self-critique. Ask yourself, did it work or not? What do you like and what don't you like about how it turned out? Then, even if it didn't turn out as you'd hoped, you've still learned something. That way you can remain positive and stay inspired. So I was inspired to try a much bolder and brighter style of artwork this week, and in a medium I'm still not that confident or familiar with. But I figured the worst that could happen is that it wouldn't look good, and best case scenario, I really love it. So let's start with what didn't go so well first. There were a few problems right at the start which were more to do with the material itself than the idea, starting with the pink background. To get the smooth, even matte finish I was after, like I said, I had to mix in some white gesso to the transparent permanent rose, and this resulted in a much lighter pink than I'd first imagined. There's probably an acrylic medium out there that can make transparent colours opaque without affecting the colour, but I don't have anything like that, so I just had to go with it. It wasn't the end of the world, and in hindsight I think I quite like the colour I ended up with. There were also other things I found frustrating during the painting process, like the trouble I had getting the consistency of the paint right so it would flow nicely on the canvas, and the brushes I were using were either too small or too big, which either made me paint too slowly and with too much detail early on, or felt too clumsy at the other end of the scale. These things though were more to do with my lack of skill or familiarity with acrylics, and less to do with whether I liked my design idea or not. One thing I was going to do and forgot at the start was to paint the cat's tongue pink instead of grey, in keeping with my idea from last week where the background ties in with the animal somehow. So I changed that up at the end and was glad I did. One of the good things about acrylics is the flexibility to paint over previous layers if you change your mind. So that brings me on to what I thought went well and what I like about this piece. And despite the few struggles I had with the technique and getting the fur to look right, I think overall it was a success. I like the bright solid background and I like how it contrasts well with the black and white cat. I think I could have done a better job on the cat's fur, but overall I like watching my idea come to life and enjoyed painting something a bit out of my comfort zone. I also learned a few more things about acrylics along the way as well, which is really good, so next time I'll try not to go in with too much detail too early on, and I'll make sure I've got a suitable brush before I start. If you have any other tips that you think might be useful, then please share them in the comments below. I have since ordered some flow improver too, so I'll let you know how I get on with that, as I'm keen to test it out in another painting. I'd love to know what inspires you most to draw or paint, and what you think of my Colourpop cat painting as well. Thank you all for your inspirational suggestions from last week's video, by the way. I have jotted them all down in my book of inspiration to use for future videos. So if you liked the video today, please give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more videos like this one, please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell to be notified as soon as I upload. Thank you so much for watching, have a great week, stay inspired, and I'll see you in the next video.